this is the Mighty Over here on Protalk Plus, the Winner's Edge. This is our second edition, live from South Florida with the Rad Man and the Mighty Over. How you doing, Rad Man?
Doing fine, loving it. Hey, I'm enjoying those winnings from last week down here in South Beach. Relaxing. If you took the listen last week, my pick of the week was the Steelers, 6.5. Told you to take the Steelers. Hey, you would have yourself some money. I also told you my other second big pick of the week, the Seahawks, Seattle at Indianapolis. Seattle covered this 2-point spread. You would have some change in your pocket, and you could be down here in South Beach hanging out with us as we get ready for week number 2.
All right, this is our second week here on Stage Plus. You can reach us on various platforms, including Spotify, Apple. Hey, we are on them all, Facebook Live, and if you follow what the Rad Man tells you with the games, you are going to win some money. Rad Man, you're ready to kick off week number 2.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. First game, New Orleans Saints against the Carolina Panthers. Hey, Jameis Winston looked pretty good. Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold, you kind of predicted both of those games last week. How do you see this matchup?
I see you got a veteran quarterback against a semi-veteran, 3-4 years in. Sam Darnold is what he is. Just like he was at USC, I don't see any different from him as a pro. He'll on one play, he'll look like an all-pro quarterback. He'll put that ball in there, and you say, man, this guy going to the Hall of Fame. The very next play, he'll throw the dumbest interception you want to ever see in your life. And you're like, how's this guy even in the league? But he's up and down, helter-skelter. Go with the New Orleans Saints. They're on the road. They're living out of hotel rooms for the next 4 to 5 weeks due to the Hurricane Ida and everything, the storm that came through. They're on the road. They playing games. They go to Carolina. Carolina's favored by 3. Take the Saints to cover the spread. The Saints will win by 3 or more.
Over and under in this game.
I would take that's Carolina's kind of tricky. I go under 43.
Under 43, Rad Man. Y'all better pay attention to his calls. Game number 2 is the Cleveland Browns against the Houston Texans. Very close game for the Cleveland Browns. They were beating Kansas City for almost the whole game, kind of lost it at the end. The Houston Texans really beat up on Jacksonville. Tyrod Taylor once again showing he's a professional quarterback. How do you see this game?
That was a money game last week. That's right. I had Houston told you to take Houston. They would cover that spread last week against Jacksonville. Hey, this week they got a tough matchup. They're in Cleveland. Cleveland's one of those teams that they don't normally blow their opponents out. They keep their teams around. Houston getting 12 points going into Cleveland. Should be an interesting game. Cleveland going to run the ball. Tyrod Taylor's going to dump the ball off to his running backs, wide receivers. Take Cleveland to win this game. But I do think the Houston Texans will play up again this week, and they won't take Houston to 12 points. Houston in the 12, and it's under 46. Take under 46 in this one. Cleveland will win this game. I think Cleveland will win by 10, but I think Houston will play well enough to cover that 12-point spread.
All right, over and under in this game.
Under 46.
Under 46. Rad Man has spoken. Under 46. All right, next game up, Cincinnati and Chicago. These are two teams. They could go either way. What do you think about this one?
Oh, my gosh. This is anybody's game here. It's what we call a pick-em, -2. Team may have to win by 3, or when you go to the casino or your favorite gambling line might be a straight-up pick-em. Cincinnati on the road at Chicago. Chicago with Andy Dalton, his days are numbered, but I think Andy Dalton going to want something to prove against the Cincinnati Bengals, the team he used to play for many years. I think he's up for a big game. If he has one big game in him, this is it against Cincinnati. Take the Bears at home over Cincinnati, the up-and-coming Joe Burrows in the Cincinnati Bengals. Take the Bears in this one. And out there on the lake, they usually don't do a lot of scoring. I go with the under 43 in this one as well.
Under 43 for Cincinnati and Chicago. Well, this could be one of the matchups of today. The Pittsburgh Steelers came into Buffalo last week and defeated the Buffalo Bills with a very, very aggressive defensive front. These guys did enough to win last week. They go up against Las Vegas, and Las Vegas surprised the Ravens on Monday Night Football. How do you see this game, Rabin?
Defense had trouble. They were out, but last week costing the game. Vegas getting 5 points going into Pittsburgh ball. But remember what I said about the Steelers. The Steelers usually play down to their competition. I see the Steelers covering this spread. I see this being tight. And the Steelers will pull away and win this game by 6 points, 6 or 7 points. It's going to be tough until the end of the game. The Steelers usually don't like to cover, but they'll cover in this game because I think that Vegas will make some mistakes, and it will be under 45 points scored in this one. This could be an interesting match depending on the weather conditions, too. If the weather look like it's going to be nice. If it's nice weather, sunny, look for this game to possibly be over 49, over 49. Take the Steelers to cover the 5 point spread.
All right, Steelers against the Raiders. You hear what the Rad Man said here on the Winner's Edge. Protalk Plus. This is our betting line edition. Hey, here in South Florida, we are here covering the Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins. How do you see this game, Rad Man?
Oh, it's a typical Buffalo squish the fish weekend. Josh Allen, for some reason, when his best team is the Miami Dolphins, the best team for him to play against. For some uncanny reason, he seems to have a very good passing day against the Miami Dolphins. I think he'll continue this on Sunday. I think the Bills will cover this spread by more than 3. They'll win by 6 or 7. They'll probably win a touchdown at the most. Miami, this tricky. If Tua gets hot, he has some weapons that the Bills defense going to have to deal with. Waddle is explosive. Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, they got a lot of talent on that offensive side of the ball. Hey, if Josh Allen is not sharp, watch out. And that will raise a lot of questions because the Dolphins is his team. That's the team that he always seems, no matter what, right, he seems to perform very well against the Dolphins. Home and away.
5-1.
5-1.
5-1 against the Dolphins.
And the scores, they're in the high 40s, almost 50 points scored in some of those games.
I think what the last game was 56 points he put up.
Exactly. And you had a punt return a kickoff return in that game too. Take Buffalo to cover that spread. And once again, take the under in this game, under 46.
All right. Next game up is the LA Rams against the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow, the Rams are a dog coming over from the West Coast to the Central Time Zone, so they'll just be 2 hours off the normal time. The Rams with a ferocious defense, I think they'll be able to hold Indy once again. Indy, unfortunately, has 2 tough home games to open the season. Carson Wentz is still Carson Wentz. The Colts are getting 4 points, which is very interesting. They're getting not 3, but normally you get 3 at home. They're giving them an extra point because they're saying these guys really need it. Matt Stafford is trying to show that he has something to prove with the Rams. Take the Rams to cover this spread by 6 or 7 points at the most. So they'll cover the 4 point spread against the Colts. And also take the under 46.
Under 46. Carson Wentz, how do you view him and his first week with the Indianapolis Colts?
It went just the way I thought it would go, up and down. But unfortunately, they were playing against a very stellar Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson was hot. He hit those receivers. They jumped on him early. They had a big lead, and then in the second half, they kind of coasted to that victory, covering that spread. And Carson Wentz still, when you don't get a chance to practice and you're out during most of the preseason and you don't get the reps, that's what he looked like. It's live action. He was just getting reps. He can only get better, hopefully. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. He can stay in there and get better. But right now, the Indianapolis Colts are walking through a gauntlet. And unfortunately, the first 2 gauntlet games were at home. Seattle last week, the Rams this week, and the Rams will come away with that spread, with the win, and cover this spread.
That's right. LA Rams against Indy. LA Rams pretty impressive in their first win with Stafford at quarterback. What was your thoughts on that first game with Stafford quarterback?
Thought Stafford played a very good game. I was surprised at the Bears. I thought the Bears would get more out of Andy Dalton in that first game. I thought his veteran leadership. It looks like they're not really inspired by Andy Dalton. It was more that the Bears didn't execute rather than Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford looked good. He's surrounded by talent, more talent than he had when he was in Detroit. They look very good, but I think, to me, that game was really more of what the Chicago Bears could not do. They couldn't execute well. So that game, that's why it was a blowout, because the Rams are a much better team, and they executed and got it done early.
Yeah, no doubt. LA Rams are definitely a team to contend with, and Stafford has enough talent on the offensive side of the ball to make a big difference if he can stay on the football field. That's going to be important for him as we go on. Am I right?
Absolutely. And Robert Woods, to keep him on the field. Cooper, if Cooper stays on the field, man, they got a wealth of talent on that offensive side of the ball. 2 or 3 running backs. Those guys are fully loaded. You could tell the head coach, he didn't like what happened last season. He made that team better by making the trade, getting Goff out of there, and bringing a more downfield quarterback, a deep ball passer. Goff always had a pop gun arm, and he barely could get the ball to the sidelines. He was more inside the marker type guy. But this Matthew Stafford can get it deep. He can get it down 20, 30, 40 yards downfield. And watch out. The Rams are going to be very explosive this season.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you. San Francisco at Philadelphia is Philadelphia is the next game. How do you see this game? San Francisco has some pretty bad injuries on their side of the ball. How do you see this game, Radman?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Same thing. The first 2 games last season, the 49ers were on the East Coast. They played at the Meadowlands 2 weeks in a row last year. This year, they started off in Detroit, and now they're in Philly once again. And they're getting severe injuries on guys not being touched. Mozart is out for probably most likely most of the season with his injury. And they keep sustaining severe injuries. The 49ers come into Philly. Philly's going to give them a tough game. Fletcher Cox and those guys on defense are going to play a tough defensive line game against the 49ers. 49ers going to have to come with a passing game to move people around. I see San Francisco winning this game. Covering Jalen Hurts is a nice up-and-coming young quarterback, but I think the 49ers have enough firepower to hold them off. This could be a very tough, close game. It's going to be a close game. I would take the 49ers to cover this spread. But, hey, some of you, if you like Philly, take Philly plus the 3, because I didn't like how San Francisco had like a 14, 21-point lead and then ended up winning by 8 points, where the game ended up being a push, where they played Detroit, and the Detroit was favored by 8, and it ended up being a push. So that's a red flag to me when you see teams have the lead with 2 minutes left, and all of a sudden the game ends up tied at the spread. Very, very suspicious. So in this game, I wouldn't mind taking Philly with the 3 points, because San Francisco, they starting to show you they can't be trusted with the point spread.
Is Hurt the guy in Philly?
I have to see him for the entire season. He's starting up. He put his best foot forward already week 1. He looked like he could be the guy. But let's see how he goes. He got 16 more games. Let's see what he can do in 16 more. The West wasn't won in 1 game. He's gonna have to put it up and continue to put up these numbers and have a running game. And also, he helps out with the running game by buying more time for his receivers downfield. In this game, take Philly in the 3 points and over 52 for the over, because I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot of scoring in this game too.
How about
over
San 52. Francisco? Do you think they're settled at the quarterback position, or is that an iffy situation for them?
No, I think they're settled. They're in good shape. Garoppolo can get the job done. I think they would keep it in Garoppolo's hands this year and then bring the young guy in from time to time, because you don't want to put a young guy in like Trey Lance and put him in at this level of play so early in his career, especially when he's coming out as almost like a Division 1A school. where he didn't have to go up against guys as fast and quick as they are in this league. I think they'll just go plays. He'll come in and run some plays too. It's Jimmy Garoppolo's
All right, let's move on. We're going to Denver and Jacksonville. Denver, I tell you what, people better watch out for the Broncos. They have a very different kind of schedule. Now they're going to take on Jacksonville. They won their first game. Denver should be, I think, 2-0. What do you see? What do you say with that, Radman?
Yes, Jacksonville getting 6 points at home. Denver coming after a blowout win last week at the Meadowlands over the Giants. And Teddy Bridgewater, that people don't want to give Teddy Bridgewater his due. He's an outstanding quarterback. He's a veteran quarterback. He's another quarterback that's capable of leading a team to a Super Bowl. That's what you don't hear in the mainstream media, but he is capable of taking the team to the Super Bowl. For this particular game, I like Denver covering that. I think they're definitely going to beat Jacksonville by more than 6 because Jacksonville beats themselves. You're going to see Trevor Lawrence throwing interceptions. He's going to make mistakes because the Denver defense, they're a strong defensive unit. Chubb on one side, Von Miller on the other. The defensive backs they have, man, Denver is really the people are talking about them, but they really are a Super Bowl contender. They have Super Bowl talent on their team. So keep an eye out on the Denver Broncos. Take Denver, and I would say take under 43. Under 43, because Jacksonville, I'd be surprised if Jacksonville put 10 points on the board the entire game. Go with Denver in this one.
Is this the game that Trevor Lawrence has the helmet either off his head or backwards?
This could be it. He better be lucky he don't get carted off in this game, because this is a tough defensive front, and they're going up against a weak offensive front. So that doesn't bode well for your quarterback. And I don't understand how Urban Meyer would start this kid and wouldn't start Minshew, somebody else, just to get him through some of these early games, and then bring Trevor Lawrence in gradually later in the season. I really do think these coaches now, they're going too well. You got to sit these guys and let some of these guys watch until you get a quality team out there where they can go out there and look good. You can't go out there. This reminds me of the old days when you used to put quarterbacks out there like Archie Manning. Archie Manning was a real good quarterback, but he played with a bum New Orleans team, and man, he had all kinds of serious injuries because they couldn't protect him, and he just got beat up. And there was a lot of other quarterbacks like Archie Manning that we never got to see their full potential because they played with bum teams, and they ended up getting beat up in serious injuries that really cost them the chance to really shine in the NFL.
Absolutely. I agree with you totally. Trevor Lawrence is going to take a beating. I agree. So what's the over and under in that game, Radman?
Under 43. I take under 40, the over 47, but I think it's under 43 due to the fact I think Denver's defense is going to hold Jacksonville to 10 points. I think they're going to get 10 points or less because Denver, if they play anyway like they played last week at the Meadowlands, they're gonna put it on Jacksonville. It's gonna be another beatdown for the Jacksonville Jags.
All right, there, Radman. Now we're going to another AFC East matchup: New England Patriots against the New York Jets. How do you see it?
Oh, it should be 2 rookie quarterbacks. You got a rookie head coach going up against a veteran, Bill Belichick. It's in New York at the Meadowlands. New England, I think New England with their defense and used to winning with their with the McCourty boys on defense, hovering the defense, Matthew Slater on the special teams. And I think they'll help Mac Jones out a lot. They'll help him out a lot. And the New England Patriots will win this game against the Jets. And they'll probably beat them by 10 points or more. Take New England in this one. The Jets will play hard. But they're gonna bait them. They're gonna bait Zach Wilson into throwing the ball into where he sees he thinks the guy is open, but McCourty and them is baiting him, wanting him to throw the ball to that guy, and then they step in and end up. It's great when you see these games live. You get to see it just how the New England defense loves to bait a quarterback into throwing the ball into a certain area, and they just hoping he throw it there so that they're booming. All of a sudden they in there and pick it off. Very good defensive schemes up there. Watch New England to win this. Under 40 points. I think it will be under 40. I think with New England winning this game, probably 30-10. I see a blowout in this one with New England handling business.
Over and under in this game.
Under 40.
Under 40?
Under 40.
All right. Next game up, Arizona and Minnesota. How do you see it?
Minnesota getting 4 points. A lackluster start. They go to the Valley of the Sun out in the desert. Minnesota is having trouble. Kirk Cousins, I have a feeling he lost some of those guys with his stance on not on being unvaccinated and some of his talk rhetoric that he's been talking. I think he kind of lost some of the team because they didn't really show up at all last week in their game. They look flat. They look uninterested. I think that you're going to get a better performance from them this week. But Arizona is starting to get on the road. Their defense, man, they look like the old days of the fearsome foursome. Looked like Deacon Jones was coming around that corner, but it was Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Fourth time in history, a defensive player has had 5 sacks and two forced fumbles. And he's in that tied him with Reggie White, Leslie O'Neal, and I can't think of my other third great. But they all except for Leslie O'Neal, of course. He's in great standings with those legendary pass rushers.
Derek Thomas had what, 7?
There we go. Derek Thomas. There we go. Yeah, that was the third one. 7. Thank you. Derek Thomas was the third one on that list. And that's a great list to be a member of. So it's only 4 players. Those are the 4 guys that ever had 5 sacks in a game, minimum 5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles in one game. And the Arizona offense is already clicking. DeAndre Hopkins is making plays, making Houston looks even more stupid for trading them. That Houston has got to be kicking themselves. It's got to be the worst trade in NFL history to trade off the MVP wide receiver for a running back that's not really doing much of anything. Arizona should win this game. They should cover the 4 points. Watch Arizona win this by about 7 by a touchdown.
Over or under?
Over under should be under 48. Under 48.
Under 48. All right. The defending champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, takes on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons didn't look too good in their first game.
No, Steve Smith, he better watch out, man. He may have to call his dad over there at FedEx and ask him for some help because the Falcons look really bad against the up-and-coming Philadelphia Eagles and made Jalen Hurts look like an all-pro a week ago. I was really surprised at how poorly Atlanta played that, and that was a home game. Atlanta goes to Tampa. Tampa has some injuries. They're playing well. I see Tampa Bay covering this spread. It's a division game, but something about Atlanta just don't seem to have it. They're a weird team to gauge, but I think Tampa Bay will win by 17, and it'll be under 50. The point total will be under 50. Take Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay will probably win by 17 instead of the 14 that's on here. Go with the Tampa Bay Bucks this week.
Over and under on that game, Radman?
Yeah, I did it. Under 50. Under 50.
Under 50. Okay.
Under 50.
Seattle at Tennessee. Well, Seattle and Tennessee, rather.
Yeah, Tennessee at Seattle. Tennessee getting 6. Mike Vrabel is very upset. I think they're going to play a much better game on the road. Tannehill got to get his act together. Julio Jones, he threw Julio Jones under the bus already in the first game, letting them know you're not going to come to our team and act like that. You coming to our team. This is not your team. Your team's back in Atlanta. So, hey, sometimes when you move, the grass isn't always greener. So he's learned a lesson that first game for taking that personal foul and moving him out, taking that critical 15-yard penalty. Tennessee minus the 6 points at Seattle. Once again, Seattle is a tough football team. They're playing well. I take Seattle to win that by a touchdown. I think Seattle will cover that spread.
All right, that should be a very good game. Seattle played very well the week before. We've got another good game coming up. Dallas and the LA Chargers. I thought Dallas played very well the first game, and the LA Chargers did quite well against the Washington professional team. How do you see this one, Radman?
I see Dallas defense still gives up a lot of yardage. They just lost their number 1 pass rusher, the edge rusher, Lawrence, to a broken foot. Happened in practice back early in the week. He broke his foot in practice. Going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. That's going to allow. That's unfortunately that's perfect timing for the Chargers because they have a stellar passing game. They have a nice young offensive line. Rashawn did his job last week against Young on the defensive front against Washington. The offensive tackle played well. Watch for Herbert to have a big game. It's their first game with a crowd, a live audience in SoFi. First a regular season game with a live audience. I see the Chargers winning this game by 6 or 7 points. It's a pick'em right now. It's a pick'em game. Take the Chargers at home. They'll win this one. And I think the spread here, the over is 56. Take the over because I think it's going to be a lot of points. Dallas is not going to be able to stop the Chargers. The Chargers will be, and Dak Prescott will probably throw for 300-400 yards in this game too. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. A lot of points on the board. Take the over and take the Chargers.
Gotcha. All right, another big-time game. This is a tremendous matchup. Kansas City against Baltimore. Baltimore had some problems in that first game. Not saying the injuries that they have, but Kansas City, even though they won that game, once again, Kansas City's defense gave up a lot of points.
Yes, they tend to give up a lot of points. It seemed like every year they play Baltimore. Last year they played in Baltimore. They back in Baltimore again this year. And once again, Baltimore's getting 4 points at home. The Ravens are similar to the Steelers. When those Steelers and Ravens get points, you take them. Take the Ravens in the 4 points. I think Kansas City will win this game, but take the Ravens +4. And this game could be a lot of scoring in this game. Take the over. It's over 57. 57. Take the over.
Lamar Jackson has a little bit to prove in this game. This is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and you're hoping to surpass that contract. You're going to have to do some work and eliminate those errors that he had last week. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. They activated Devontae Freeman. I think that Devontae Freeman is going to help, and pretty soon Le'Veon Bell is going to be ready to go. So they're going to have two known veteran backs, and I like to see how Le'Veon Bell works in that offense and see how he does he still have it, and does Devontae Freeman still have enough to help that line? Because they have a young guy I haven't heard of, Tyson Wilson. He played very well last week at the running back position. And Marquise Brown and the other wide receivers going to have to step their game up because I thought they didn't step their game up enough last week. And
Sammy Watkins needs to get open. He needs to get open.
Well, you know how his thing is. He hurt already. He got something hampering him, but he out there playing. Sammy Watkins is you need him. He's a guy that good for your team for the playoffs, but he's not good for the regular season. He's the stretch run guy. He's a guy you bring up because he always gets a nagging injury. And you notice when you need a big play from him, he doesn't seem to come up with a big play during the regular season. But in the playoffs, seems like he steps his game up a little bit. The Ravens need this one. Take the Ravens at home with the 4 points, but I do have a feeling that KC will be able to win this game.
Now, Baltimore, they've got Latavius Murray also. I mean,
that's right.
They've got a pretty good stable of running backs, right? And with all those injuries, they now have a pretty good veteran stable of running backs.
And they get to get their young guys back next season. So it is, they're fortunate to get some guys with all kinds of experience. Latavius Murray looked good in the game. He played well in the game last week out in Vegas against the Raiders. He played very well. So you're right, they were fortunate to get a hold of some veteran guys. And there's a lot of other veteran players out on the street right now waiting for a phone call. So
absolutely.
I like Baltimore with the 4. Matter of fact, that's one of my stone pick of the week.
Yeah, I'm shocked, Redman, that Marcel Darius hasn't gotten a phone call yet. If he has, we don't know about it. But I'm surprised that he has not been picked up by somebody. Right.
Same here. He's a good player. See if he still wants to play. Some of these guys don't want to play no more. They lose the weight, go down and get into it, and they have money. But Marcel Darius has over $120 million he made. So, that might be cool for him. $120 million. Hey, I can find a lot of different things to do other than football. Shoot, why break your body up? Your shoulders already sore and injury prone with bad shoulders. So why come back when you already done made $120 million? And hopefully, I'm sure he has quite a bit of that money left.
Right, right. All right. Well, Kansas
Monday
City and
night.
Baltimore is one of the premier games. We're now at the Monday night matchup, Detroit and Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is already telling people, don't worry, don't worry. It's only the first game. But that was not a good look to start the season for the Green Bay Packers.
Not at all, and not at all. It looked like they weren't interested, and they didn't have them. They didn't seem united or really had themselves together as a team overall in that game. This week they at home in Green Bay. They hear all the talking, hear all the noise. They're going. And what they normally do, they normally take it out on Green Bay. But Green Bay, Detroit usually gives them a tough game. Green Bay will win this, but don't be surprised to see Detroit cover the 10. I would take the 10 points in this game because Detroit does seem to play them home and away. They seem to play Detroit very well, very well. They play them very well for some reason. But I know the reason is they're a division opponent. They play them twice a year, so sooner or later you better start playing your opponent well. Take Detroit in the 10, but Green Bay should win this one. And I look to see that game over 50 points, over 50.
Well, hey, that's all of our picks for this week. Red Man, you did a tremendous job last week. I'm telling you, Protalk Plus, the winner's edge. Take the Red Man's picks. Make you some extra money. We appreciate you being with us again. Yeah. And we'll be back next week. Last word, Red Man?
Yes. Remember, my top 2 picks for this week, Baltimore with the 4 at home against Kansas City. And the second one is Carolina getting to New Orleans to cover the spread against Carolina. New Orleans to cover the spread against Carolina. Those are my 2 games. The Saints to beat Carolina by more than 3 points, and Baltimore to cover the 4 points against Kansas City.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to Pro Talk Plus, the winner's edge here on Stage Plus Network. We'll be on several different platforms, Facebook Live, Apple, Spotify, Roku, all of those you can catch us. Make sure you pay attention to the Rat Man's picks. We'll be back here next week, week 3. Let's enjoy South Florida, buddy.
All right.